What if the announcement everyone's talking about isn't just another headline, but the moment that quietly decides who moves forward and who gets left behind? Right now, millions of Americans are asking the same burning question. Did this update actually change Social Security benefits for SSI and SSDI recipients? And if it did, are you positioned to benefit? Or are you already inside the system's invisible cutoff line? Because there's a critical period we call the shadow window, that razor-thin time frame where decisions are processed, adjustments are locked in, and opportunities either get captured in the flow or vanish into bureaucratic silence forever. And here's the uncomfortable truth. While most people wait for confirmation, updates, and reassurance, a small group moves first, verifies first, and secures their standing before the door closes. No noise, no confusion, no missed steps, just clarity. That's why today isn't about rumors. It's about cutting through the chaos with a Fort Knox-level strategy that protects your benefits, your eligibility, and your timeline with precision. If you've ever worried about being the one person who missed a deadline, misunderstood a rule, or didn't act fast enough while everyone else stayed ahead, this is your moment to pay attention. Because once this window closes, it doesn't reopen, and the system doesn't wait. Here's our game plan for today, and we're breaking this down in a way that leaves no gaps, no guesswork, and no uncertainty. First, we'll uncover the eligibility factors so you know exactly where you stand. Then, we'll expose the clock so you understand how timing truly controls outcomes. And finally, we'll decode the fraud filter, the safeguards, verification steps, and red flags that can either protect your benefits or accidentally delay them if you're not prepared. Stay with me, because what's coming next could be the difference between reacting late and moving with confidence. This isn't just information, it's your advantage. Let's slow this down for a moment and look beneath the headlines, because what appears on the surface is only the visible layer of a system that operates with machine-like precision underneath. When a Social Security update is announced, whether it involves SSI adjustments, SSDI recalculations, cost of living considerations, verification protocols, or administrative refinements, it does not travel through the system the way a social media post travels across the internet. It moves through structured channels, encrypted data pipelines, eligibility validators, and automated rule engines that process millions of records in fractions of a second. To understand what that really means, imagine two worlds running side by side. One is the high-speed express lane. The other is the traffic jam. In the express lane, data flows continuously, cleanly formatted, verified at the source. When a beneficiary record is accurate, when income information aligns with federal thresholds, when identity verification matches stored credentials, the system recognizes that consistency instantly. It doesn't pause to debate. It doesn't speculate. It applies predefined logic. In milliseconds, algorithms compare inputs against eligibility frameworks, historical payment data, and compliance markers. If everything aligns, the record continues forward through automated processing. That is the express lane. It is designed for speed, stability, and efficiency. Now picture the traffic jam. This is where inconsistencies appear. A mismatch in reported income, a discrepancy in identity data, a missing verification step, a flagged update that requires manual review. When the system detects uncertainty, it doesn't panic. It redirects. Records enter layered review queues where additional authentication checks may be triggered. Some cases require cross-referencing with external databases. Others may pause until documentation is confirmed. In this environment, time stretches. Not because the system is broken, but because safeguards are designed to slow things down when something doesn't perfectly align. The shadow window exists in that transition between lanes. It is not a conspiracy. It is not hidden policy. It is the natural consequence of automated systems operating on scheduled updates and validation cycles. When changes occur, administrative updates, benefit recalculations, eligibility reviews, there is often a short synchronization phase. During that phase, data is reconciled across platforms. Submissions received during this interval are processed according to their timestamp, formatting, and completeness. If information arrives cleanly, it enters the express lane. If not, it may temporarily fall into review queues. That brief synchronization period is what we metaphorically call the shadow window, because from the outside it feels invisible. But inside the system, it is very real. And here's where myth begins to spread. Myth says that updates instantly raise benefits for everyone at once, like a switch flipping in a room. Reality is more nuanced. Adjustments follow structured formulas, eligibility requirements, and individual record data. Myth says there is a secret list of people who automatically receive increases without action. Reality says systems rely on verified records, documented criteria, and compliance checks. Myth says if you don't act immediately, everything is lost forever. Reality says deadlines matter, but most processes include formal notice periods, appeals paths, and correction channels. The system is procedural, not theatrical. Let me say this the way a trusted friend would, not a headline. The mainstream narrative often compresses complex administrative updates into dramatic language because drama attracts attention, but the actual mechanics are procedural. When changes occur, they move through rule-based frameworks designed to protect both beneficiaries and the integrity of the program. That protection includes identity verification, fraud detection, and duplicate prevention filters. These safeguards are not obstacles, they are guardrails. They keep benefits flowing to the right individuals while preventing exploitation. Now let's pivot. Imagine a woman named Margaret. She is not thinking about algorithms. She is not analyzing processing lanes. She is sitting at her kitchen table late in the evening, the only light coming from her phone screen. Her heart starts racing when a notification pops up with words she has never seen before. Something about a master file lock. The phrase alone feels heavy, mechanical, final. Her stomach tightens. Cold sweat gathers along her palms. Margaret has bills spread across the table. Utility notices, a pharmacy statement, a rent reminder. She has been waiting for her monthly deposit, counting the days carefully. When she sees the notification, her first instinct is panic. The message includes a link. It claims she must verify immediately or risk interruption. The language feels urgent, almost threatening. Her pulse pounds in her ears. For a moment, fear takes over. She imagines her benefits frozen. She imagines standing in line somewhere, explaining herself, feeling embarrassed. The weight of unpaid bills presses down on her shoulders. The room feels smaller. This is the emotional reality many people experience when encountering suspicious alerts that imitate official communication. But then something shifts. Margaret remembers a simple truth she once heard. Real federal systems do not demand instant ultimatums through random text messages. They provide structured notices. They use secure portals. They send formal correspondence. That thought becomes her first alarm. The first of the three alarms is tone. Official systems do not use panic language. They do not threaten immediate loss through casual links. They communicate through established channels. When Margaret notices the aggressive tone, she pauses instead of clicking. That pause is powerful. The second alarm is source. She checks the sender carefully. It is not from a verified government domain. It is slightly misspelled. The formatting feels off. This realization steadies her breathing. Fraud attempts often rely on urgency and imitation. When something claims to be a master file lock but arrives through an unsecured pathway, that mismatch is a signal. The third alarm is demand. The message insists she must act immediately, without prior notice, without written documentation. Real systems follow due process. They do not impose sudden penalties without formal correspondence. When Margaret recognizes that legitimate processes involve documented steps, she understands that this notification is not aligned with standard procedure. Her shaking hand lowers. She does not click the link. Instead, she accesses her official account directly through the known secure portal. She logs in calmly, not through the message, but through the proper path. There is no lock, there is no emergency. Her benefits are intact. In that moment, Margaret regains control. The simple fix was not complicated. It was not technical expertise. It was verification. It was refusing to follow instructions from an unsolicited message. It was entering information only through trusted channels. It was understanding that real administrative updates come through structured communication, not pressure tactics. As she sits back in her chair, her breathing steadies. The kitchen feels warmer now. The bills are still there, but the fear is not. She realizes that systems can feel intimidating when described in dramatic terms, but they operate on rules. And rules can be understood. When you know how communication flows, when you know what legitimate notices look like, you become less vulnerable to manipulation. This is where the analogy of express lane and traffic jam meets real life. The system processes data rapidly, but it does so within defined pathways. Fraud filters operate continuously, scanning for anomalies, unusual login patterns, suspicious access attempts, and mismatched identifiers. When something triggers a safeguard, it does not mean punishment. It means protection. The filters are designed to stop impersonation, identity theft, and unauthorized access. Margaret's experience illustrates how awareness becomes empowerment. The shadow window is not something to fear. It is simply a reminder that timing and verification matter. The express lane rewards accurate, complete information. The traffic jam slows incomplete or suspicious inputs, and the fraud safeguards function like silent sentries, constantly scanning for irregularities. By understanding this structure, the noise fades, headlines become less overwhelming, notifications become easier to evaluate. Instead of reacting emotionally, you respond methodically. You check the source. You confirm through official channels. You avoid pressure-based instructions. That is the Fort Knox approach we talked about earlier. Not because it is dramatic, but because it is secure, disciplined, and grounded in process. Margaret's story is not about panic. It is about clarity. It is about recognizing that systems designed to distribute benefits also include layers designed to prevent exploitation. Those layers can feel complex, but they exist to protect the integrity of payments and the individuals who rely on them. When you understand how data moves, how eligibility is evaluated, how verification steps function, and how alerts are structured, you stop feeling like you are at the mercy of invisible forces. Instead, you become informed. And in a world where information travels faster than ever, understanding the difference between express lane processing and traffic jam review can mean the difference between confusion and confidence, between fear and stability, between clicking impulsively and verifying deliberately. That is the real power. Not hype, not headlines, but comprehension. As we close this chapter, step into this moment with clarity, not fear, and treat everything you've just heard as a mission, not a reaction. This is your commander's intent action plan, not because there is chaos around you, but because leadership means preparation before pressure ever arrives. The first maneuver is the digital audit, a calm and deliberate review of your accounts, your contact information, your notification settings, and your access points, ensuring everything is accurate, current, and protected. This is not paranoia, it is stewardship. The second move is the first strike, which means taking initiative rather than waiting for uncertainty. If something looks unfamiliar, verify it directly through official channels, not through links, not through urgency, but through deliberate confirmation. Action taken from control is power. The third maneuver is the lockdown, strengthening your defenses with strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, secure devices, and awareness of phishing attempts, sealing every unnecessary entry point so that opportunists find nothing to exploit. And the fourth is the backup. The quiet discipline of keeping records, documenting communications, saving confirmations, and ensuring you always have a reference point. Legacy is not protected by hope. It is protected by preparation. And remember the golden rule. A delay is not a loss, but silence is a forfeit. A thoughtful pause, a careful review, a moment spent verifying information is never weakness. It is wisdom. But ignoring communication, Avoiding confirmation or remaining silent in the face of uncertainty can allow small issues to grow unnoticed. Leadership in your own life means responding deliberately, not impulsively, and understanding that steady action preserves opportunity. Now, take this forward. Subscribe for the next live update so you never miss important developments. Share this with someone in your community who needs clarity instead of confusion. Comment your status below, not as a statistic, but as part of a movement of informed individuals who refuse to be left behind. This is how awareness spreads. This is how communities strengthen. And most importantly, pay it forward. If you've gained clarity today, pass it on. Protect someone else from misinformation. Help a neighbor understand the difference between urgency and legitimacy. Be the person who brings calm into the room when others feel overwhelmed. That is real leadership. Because in the end, peace of mind is the only currency that truly matters. Not rumors, not headlines, not fear, just confidence in what you know and control over what you can verify. Carry that confidence with you, stand steady, move wisely, and remember that the strongest position you can hold is not urgency, it is understanding. If this message brought you clarity, strength, or peace of mind, take a moment right now to comment your thoughts below so others can see your voice. Subscribe for future updates so you never miss what matters next, and share this with someone in your community who needs the same confidence and understanding. Your engagement helps spread awareness, protect others, and keep this conversation moving forward.